Here we are back again at the home page, and again we're going to continue dealing with contacts. And at this juncture, if you have not viewed the overview video, I ask that you quickly do that before you start down through the list so that you understand where we're headed. So again, we're on the home page and we're going to go to the contact drop down, and we're going to be talking about view all contacts. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click view all contacts. All contacts come up, and again, a couple of issues that we want to deal with as we're going through this. First of all, as you remember, this is a list of every email address in our master list. So here, and we're going to start in the upper left-hand corner, we can add a contact to the list, which is essentially the same thing as the button that we're going to talk about a little later on. So we're not going to go into any detail about that other than to tell you that you can do it here. There is also a whole list of actions that you can initiate from here, which is the delete. You can update contacts to receive text campaigns. You can, in other words, what you're doing is you're updating the type of email that they do. You can set the status as confirmed, and you can take and unconfirm a status at the same time here. You can do that en masse, or you can do it singly. So in other words, if you want to do it to all email addresses, you just simply would click this. If you wanted to do it to individual email addresses or a select group of email addresses, you could do that by just clicking a few or the ones you want with a check mark. Now you'll note as we go across the top here that we have a list, or we have list headers. And if you recall back when we set up this particular set up the email contact list, we set them up and we created fields that would address our needs as far as the contact list were concerned. Because this is a master list, it contains or makes visual to you every one of these particular fields that you created. So now, just because you see every one of them here does not mean that every one of them appear in every contact list. Remember that blue boxed area that we talked about when we created the list? Those that we checked mark were to that list, the elements that were going to be contained in that list. Now, the thing about it is, if you wanted additional information in that list, it did not upload anything except those elements. While they're all shown here, you'll note that a lot of them have nothing underneath them. And the reason why they have nothing underneath it could be one of two reasons. First of all, you didn't have that information for that particular contact when you entered it, number one. Or number two, that element of information does not appear in the contact list that particular person's name is in. So consequently, this is where you're at with this particular contact list. And you can go over here all the way to this side, and now this is another interesting area. You can specify how many results you want on a page all the way up to 1,000. So if you're dealing with a large list, obviously you don't want to be constantly changing pages to get to where you need to go on one hand, but on the other hand, if you have like 1,000 names on the list, it's hard to keep track of where you're at on that page. So my recommendation, 50, has always been a good number, works pretty well. And as you now see, we have in this particular master list, we have 4,906 pages. Now remember, this is an illustration of what we're calling the master list. And the master list is a combination of every email address in every contact list you have. So if you go to, say you're going to go to Jim Smith's name, and you want to look at Jim Smith's name, okay? Well, first of all, you'd have to find Jim Smith's name, which you could manually do here, and it's not recommended to do that. But let's suggest for just a minute, we're going to take the first one in the list here that's got a reasonable email address, and we're going to do antops@aol.com. Okay, so we're going to do this particular one here, and we're going to go over here and we're going to want to view that particular email address or contact. Note when it comes up that we have all the information that's in the list in a way that we can actually edit the contact we can delete the contact, and when we're done, we merely go back to where we were. So you can edit things this way. We're going to show you a little bit better way of doing that when we get to the edit button or to the contact search button. So we're back over here, and the log event shows what activity has been sent to that email address. So if we go back to that same email address and we go to the log activity, we see that this person has not been sent any emails at all. So consequently, at this juncture, we have no activity for them. We can edit the email address. Now, this is what you might say redundant, and as I've told so many people inside this program, there are about 15 ways to do the same thing. It's all a matter of habit and what you become used to. These things are located where they are for convenience. Now, if you remember when we talked about viewing it at the top, you could delete it and you could edit it. Well, here again, you can edit and delete this particular list. So what I'm saying to you is you got to kind of look at the program in its entirety before you start working with it, and then best decide which way is going to work for you the best and way you use it. To complete our explanation of what's up here at the top, these are the page numbers. So if I want to go from page 1 to page 2, I can do that by just going to page 2. And it'll go find that page. It may take a minute because it's dealing with a particularly large list, and it will display page 2. If I want to go beyond page 5, I hit the next button, and it will index out one or more pages so that I know what I'm doing. And if I want to close out of this, I can close out of this up here. However, when you do that, it's going to take you out of the program. So consequently, that's something that you want to consider by using the back button. But if you use the back button and you're deep into it, a lot of pages, the close button works well. So anyway, there are, like I say, multiple ways of doing everything. You can see how you can maintain your master contact list. If you've got a lot of things to do, you can do this. However, this does not have a sort function in it. We do have one available, but it's not here. So this is just kind of, if you want to do a mass change to a lot of names, you might want to do it here. But again, don't make that decision until we get through this whole thing. So again, this is the end of this particular segment. I hope this has answered some questions for you. Good luck with our email program, and make it a great day.